As longtime lovers of bourbon and all types of whiskey, we know how hard it can be to find unique bourbon at traditional retail stores. That's why we're proud to announce our partnership with BourbonOutfitter.com. The good people at Bourbon Outfitter have years of experience and specialize in providing an array of special barrel picks and other whiskeys that you are sure to love. Best of all, everything at BourbonOutfitter.com can be shipped right to your door. So avoid the hassle and head on over to BourbonOutfitter.com today. Enter code THEMASHUP to receive a special discount on your next order. Now sit back, relax, and get ready for the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. Insert the staves through the bunghole is just, I'm too childish for that.
I am a professional, sir.
You're professional.
Get your mind out of the gutter. I'll have Mike Hawk give you a call. That's my bodyguard.
I'm not going to be able to answer that call. I might leave that one just hanging out there. All right. Welcome to episode 115 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We are your hosts, Anthony and Kenny. What's going on, fella?
Well, hello.
Well, hello. Did you
like that intro?
You like it?
Are we doing some Long Branch? All right.
It might be. Was that Long Branch or was that Kool-Aid Man? You know, I'm over here experimenting around because our co-host, co-founder, he's still MIA. He's just stuck out on the West Coast. I don't know if he's ever coming back.
He's been gone for a while. He came back for a little bit and he's gone again.
Yeah. It's always about that workflow, and I don't. It is what it is, man. The man's got to make the bread. He's got to make the bread and bring home the bacon for the family. So while Steven is out traversing the West and hunting for food out on the Conestoga wagon, what have you been up to, my man?
Well, I'm out hunting for aloe.
Aloe, yeah. What?
Oh, just me being an old, dumb, bald guy.
Are you saying that maybe the 90-degree heat has caught up with you?
Well, no. I went to a Barbasol a couple weeks ago. My wife told me to wear a hat. And I'm like, no, I'm going to be all right. And my head was burnt. So then doing some yard work yesterday.
Come on.
With my shirt off, trying to get my back and chest to catch up to my head. And now I'm burnt there. So
oh, man.
I'm sitting there hunting for aloe right now.
Don't you know that a man of your skin tone needs a little bit more TLC when it comes to the suntan lotion?
Well, just early on in the season.
Okay.
I actually do get decently dark. I just need to remember to do it in slow steps.
I got you.
See.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about, comparing my Greek olive toned skin
and your luscious hair
to the fact that you're lacking a little bit of protection up there, and you also have, I wouldn't say you're not like incredibly fair, right? You're just like kind of fair. You're just,
from the waist up. My legs are awfully white, bro.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that one. No. So back up. So you were at the Barbasol, and for those of our listeners that don't know, the Barbasol is what do they call that tour? Is it Corn Ferry Tour or whatever that's called?
It's just part of the PGA Tour.
But it's like not the actual, it's part of the PGA Tour, but it's like the minor league of the PGA, right? Or you're professional.
Not as big of the names, but you're still pro, and there's some big name guys that play in it though sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. So that event comes to Nicholasville, Kentucky.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not a big golf guy, so I really don't know all the ins and outs of that. Yeah. Whether it's more of the minors, the majors, or blah, blah, blah.
Here's what I was trying to say. It's not going to be carried on NBC. It's carried on. I'm not sure who actually picks up the broadcast, but it's a pretty nicely attended big event that happens annually out at Keene. Is that Keene Trace where it happens?
Yeah.
I've never been, but I do have some merch from there because one of my buddies was nice enough to buy me a logo hat from there.
Champions Golf Course.
Champions. Yeah, I said Keene Trace. That's the wrong one. Champions.
I was there because, which I said I'm not even really into golf, but a couple things happened. One of my buddies that's in one of my bourbon groups, he lives in Florida, and he actually works for the PGA.
Oh, nice.
So he got all of us like basically passes, not just regular, like just PGA season passes, but he mailed them up here, so I could have gone. I didn't go with them on Thursday when a bunch of the guys went, just because just not big into golf. It was really kind of wild. Saturday, which I was planning on going to Mossick's, our buddy Mossick, we talked about him, he's been on the podcast.
Yep, absolutely.
I plan on going to Mossick's on Saturday evening when I got off work, and we were going to record on his podcast.
Yeah.
And he messaged and said, "Hey, are you still coming?" I'm like, "Yeah, I get off work at, at whatever it was, 6, 7 o'clock, whatever it was." He's like, "Well, when you get here, grab a folding chair from the dining room and bring it into the studio. I've got a surprise."
Oh.
And I'm like, so my brain's going all over the place. I'm like, why? I was thinking in the studio. There's 4 chairs, 5 chairs in there. It's a big table.
Yeah.
Did he replace it with like a pool of Jello pudding? I mean, what am I walking into? I don't know what's going on.
Maybe I was thinking maybe it was Harlan Wheatley, because you need extra chairs if the master distiller Buffalo Trace is coming. Yeah. But anyway.
That might go to your house. You are the Buffalo Trace King.
They might, yeah. Maybe I could get Harlan Wheatley to come out to my house, drink some Benchmark and some vodka.
Well, so I get there though, and I'll go in there and I see a couple guys. I'm like, "Oh, hey guys," didn't recognize them.
Like, I don't know who you are. What are you doing in here? Like, this is my spot.
Yeah, so I go in there and they introduce themselves as it's Chris and Chris, 2 Chris's. I'm like, "Oh, whatever." So I found out. One of them was Chris Stroud. He's on the PGA Tour.
Oh, no way.
He's been a pro for like 16 years. He's won several events,
Okay.
Very good golfer.
That's cool.
And the other guy was a guy named Chris Chesson. He introduced him as his caddy.
Okay.
And the golf Chris was like, he's being modest. I'm like, what? So I looked him, then we started talking about it, looked it up. He's actually, he actually produced Boston George, Famous Without Fortune.
Oh, that's based on the character
Boston, based on that George young guy.
Yeah,
or whatever.
From Blow. The character
from Blow. Yeah. So he actually did an actual documentary, and I need to watch it. Honestly, I haven't watched it yet, but it actually gets good reviews. It's like I did search it out, and it's get like 7.6 to 8.5 stars. I need to watch it.
Right. No, I want to watch it too, because as much as I like John Depp and the movie Blow, which is a great movie, I'd like to see a more realistic portrayal that's not Hollywoodized. And I'm guessing that his documentary would probably be a better, I guess, representation of what was going on without all the glitz. You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah. But, Hollywood has a way of making a drug dealing look like it's the greatest thing in the world.
Right. Yeah, well, this one's called Famous Without the Fortune. So it's taking the Hollywood aspect out of it.
Yeah. See, it's good. That's good. I like this guy already.
Yeah, well, they're from Texas, and I found out they actually grew up together.
Okay.
Both are good golfers. Chris Chesson, he lives now out of the country, but him and his wife run like a dog rescue and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And
gotta get behind that all
down
the time.
In Mexico. And then I guess Chris Stroud and him ran into each other, reconnected after all these years, and he's like, "Hey, you want to come caddy for me?" So
hey, come get on the bag.
It's kind of pretty cool,
I love that.
Just friends growing up, and now they're back, doing that stuff again. So it's pretty cool.
That could have been us, even though neither of us could ever be able to be a professional golfer. But we could have been like that.
Yeah, I mean, we could go. We could actually work the Burger King. We could go. We could go both work at Burger King together.
Nice. That would be a good thing to do. So wait, I have a question
and we
here.
Get Caleb a Whopper.
Get Caleb a Whopper, what he's always wanted.
Yes,
his favorite sandwich,
made with love.
There you go. Oh my God. Don't even make me think about that. I'm thinking about all the road tripping we've done and all the fast food I've eaten.
That's why I do not send food back at a restaurant.
Oh, how much?
If you overcook my steak, if you undercook my steak,
it's
I'm either going to eat it or I'm going to just ask for a refund on it. It's not going back to get remade.
Oh man, yeah. No, that's good advice. See, that's a tip. You might, even though it's a bourbon podcast, it's a tip about food. Do not send your food back and expect to not eat something that's unsightly. So real quickly, you didn't tell me now, how the heck did these guys end up at Mossick's house? Like, I feel like Mossick's like an all man. He knows everybody, right?
He does.
So how the heck did what's the connection there? Like, how did, like, hey, come over casually. There's some PGA golfer here. Like, what the heck?
Well, so Mossick subscribes to their OnlyFans account, and he is their number one tipper on there. So
dude, are you serious? I was like, wait a minute, come on.
No.
You had me again. I was like, oh, he's serious. No, he's not serious. Come on.
No, so they were actually at OBC.
Okay.
And for all our listeners, we've talked before. I mean, if you come to Lexington, like when it comes to just a great food with a great selection of bourbon, but it's got to be the very best cocktails.
Oh, yeah.
Is OBC. So they were hanging at OBC. unfortunately, Chris missed the cut by one stroke.
Okay.
So they didn't have anything to do Saturday or Sunday.
That's a good place to go if you've missed a cut, though. I mean, I have to say that.
And so they're hanging out there, talking to one of the bartenders, Clint, trying to figure out what to do, try to, can we take a bourbon tour somewhere? Is it too late? Is everything booked up? Blah, blah, blah. And Clint was like, well, yeah, but I've got a guy maybe that you can just do a private tasting or do some tasting instead,
Oh, nice.
So he got a hold of Mosick. Mosick said, yeah, come on over.
Oh, dude, that's so Mosick.
It was awesome, man.
Opens the home up, has, great selection. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. It was a great night, man. It was really cool. It's just kind of how it's kind of wild how you can meet people. I met so many people just in, through bourbon stuff. A lot of my connections and just friendships made. It's pretty wild.
Absolutely. So Kenny, we actually had a new review this week. This review comes from Jerix 1980. When I saw that, I was thinking like Chris Jericho for some reason, because I'm a big wrestling fan, but it's probably not Chris Jericho. He or she says, great bourbon podcast. I love your podcast. I like that you do a variety of bottles and every price range. I love the honest reviews. Great job, and keep up the great work. And there was a lot of exclamation points in there, so there was a lot of excitement.
That's awesome. That only cost me $7.
Was it another one of your reviews?
Yeah, it's one of my paid reviews, man. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, so since Kenny's joined the podcast, I've noticed a trend that we get these reviews, and I'm not quite sure. No, I'm just kidding. Apple does a lot to vet those, and so we're really excited to always hear from our listeners. We want to interact with you guys, and so if you would like a review, just give us a shout out on social media. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating if you like what you're hearing. And next time we record, we will give you a shout out. So we've got a new and interesting bottle tonight. The bottle is RD1's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, finished with Brazilian Amburana Wood. The distillery is RD1 Spirits. The bottle date is 2022. And the ABV on this guy is 55% or 110 proof. The age, which is not on the bottle but is on their website, says 4+ years old. So this is actually pretty well-aged liquid. The mash bill is 70% corn, 21% rye, 9% malted barley. And the MSRP on this guy is $65.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this tonight. For the listeners that listen to a lot of these podcasts that I've been on, I've kind of already had a lot of the stuff that we try.
Okay.
I've never tasted this one at all whatsoever.
I know we've stumped you tonight. It's a fresh review from Kenny, right?
Yeah, this will be. Yeah, usually I'm like, I own 37 bottles.
Tried that 35 times.
I wouldn't buy this. It's not very good.
So while you're talking about that, I'm actually going to pour myself some over here, and I also want you to.
I'm so interested in this, and a couple reasons why. Number one, we know Barry. We love Barry.
Right.
Hung out with him multiple times. We talked previous on another episode, where I was hanging out with him because of him. Yep. We all hung out, at his house for Father's Day.
That's right.
Freddie was there and all that. Also, just even with their WM Tar initial releases, which I believe was sourced turkey juice. I don't think they're allowed to say that, but
oh wow,
I think it's what it was.
Okay.
And I think this is their own distillate, I believe.
Okay.
But everything they've made so far it's been pretty good. I enjoy it. And then they had the RD1s that were I know Liquor Barn's got 5 different ones that are finished in different, types of woods and stuff that honestly they've all been pretty decent. But this one I'm excited because Amburana is so intriguing, man. Honestly, just listening to you a second ago, you said finished with Brazilian Amburana.
Right.
And that threw me off when you just said that.
It threw me off when I was looking at it on the bottle.
Well, so I did some checking on that, and it actually...
Did a phone a friend?
I did a phone a friend.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Barry Brenniger.
There you go. Nice to have him on speed dial.
Because I said, hey, is it actually finished with, or is it supposed to be in? He's like, no, they take Amburana staves, insert them into the bung holes.
Nice.
TP for my bung hole. But anyway, I can't. Whenever I hear bung hole, dude, how do you not, right?
I know. I don't even know how you said bung hole with a straight face. And insert the staves through the bung hole. It's just, I'm too childish for that.
I am a professional, sir.
You're professional.
Get your mind out of the gutter. I'll have Mike Hawk give you a call. That's my bodyguard.
I'm not going to be able to answer that call. I might leave that one just hanging out there. Get a voicemail.
So yeah, it goes into the bunghole with the Amburana staves,
right?
And anything else that we've had, I don't know. I've had 5 different Amburanas.
Yeah.
that are all finished in Amburana barrels.
So they're the actual barrels.
But the thing is, though, and you've had a couple, you can't even tell it's been an Amburana.
Yeah.
The bunghole's got you, bro.
Yeah, I was just wondering how deeply those staves penetrate the barrel. Okay, go back to trying to be serious now.
As long as you don't edit that out,
okay,
I'll roll with it. No, but Amburana is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone that's had some Amburana finished stuff, I've had some that literally you cannot tell anything.
Okay.
Like that there's no Amburana. Then I've had other stuff that is just way too strong, way too rich. Because Amburana, first one I had was a rare character that they did at J-Hob, done an Amburana, and he even said Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And it is straight up, it is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But sometimes it's just way too harsh, way too strong. So I think Amburana is really tricky, like where you can really way overdo it.
Yeah.
Very easily overdo it. So I think it's interesting that they did the staves in there. That way I think they have more actual control on a timed, release of it, of how much flavor it's going to get. So I'm really excited to try this.
I'm excited to try it too. And when you talk about Amburana, I have very limited experience with it. In fact, I think the only thing that I ever tried that was Amburana was the time you gave me that sample. Didn't you give me a little sample of Penelope Rio?
Yeah. So the Rio was honey barrel finished and Amburana barrel finished, both.
And I mean, that might be a bottle we would review in the future, but I remember thinking that was an interesting flavor, and it was a small amount. I think it was an ounce sample that you gave me, and so I just remember thinking, I'm not sure if that's for me.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I tasted it. But this just I don't know, the way that it's presented seems like it'll be a little bit different than that. Plus that has honey barrels. So I'm really excited to try it too.
Well, let's at least get the nose in it then. So
all
we
right.
can get a little sample over here.
All right, here we go.
Wow. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, bro.
Holy cow.
Alves nailed it.
So my kids are on a kick right now where all they do is eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal dry. Like it's, what do you want to have as a snack? I want Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Okay, here's a bowl of dry Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And so, of course, I sneak a couple here and there. But this, man, the aroma is spot on. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm going to actually nose it again to see if I can pick anything else out here.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna name the two quote unquote distilleries. They're not really distilleries, but they're two big brands that are on the market that put out so much finished product.
Okay.
And they do wet barreling, so it's not really real bourbon anymore.
I gotcha. What does that mean? Like putting name those water places in a barrel and stuff like that?
Well, they'll put literally vanilla, or they'll put literally honey in there, and then they'll just say it's finished in whatever, when it's just like you making a freaking cocktail.
Oh, man.
So it's cheating the bourbon world.
I want to try that with the Luxardo cherries. I always want to get enough of the Luxardo cherry juice, pour it all inside the barrel, and then throw my bourbon in there and see what it tastes like. That sounds like a thing I'd be interested in.
Let's say if you had we're not going to name the two places, but
yeah, that's fine.
The thing is, though, they do that, and a lot of those things taste pretty good, because that's like a cocktail, though.
Right. No.
It's like a flavored drink. To me, Amburana is a great introduction to people that aren't really as into bourbon either, because it is more desserty. It is definitely way more sweet. It is more like cocktail-like, but it's still legit real bourbon because you don't have the additives. They didn't just pour literally cinnamon, vanilla, orange, whatever liquid into the barrel and act like it soaked in, and then pour the bourbon on top of it. So,
I got you. So you're saying this is a truer way of doing it.
But the Amburana Wood, dude, is so unique, man.
Well, actually, I was going to mention that real quick. So the little bit that I do know about Amburana, I believe that it's used for a drink called cachaca. Is that correct? Have you ever heard that?
It is used for a drink, but I forgot what it was called.
So I think in South America, because Amburana is Brazilian wood, there's a drink called cachaca, and I believe it's some kind of fermented juice that they age in these barrels, alcoholic, of course. And so I don't know anything about it, but I just had to quickly check, because how long would you say that things have been sort of going down the Amburana train, as you'd say? Because it's a pretty recent craze in bourbon, and it's hitting massive. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, I'm not saying you see it as much as a port finish, but you see it a lot, and a lot of people are talking about it. It's got a lot of buzz.
Well, yes. And I think for two big reasons, though, and they're two very opposite, drastic reasons.
Yeah.
But Amburana, the very, 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 very first one, and I think it was probably ever, was was that rare character that J-Hob did, finished in Amburana.
Okay.
And that was like a little over a year ago, I think.
It's only been a year?
A year and a half at the most. I'll have to check with Ryan.
Crazy. You got me like, I don't know. After nosing this, I'm so eager to taste it because I have no idea what it's going to taste like. And now that I'm doing my last little nosing here, I'm actually getting a little bit of cinnamon red hot as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's just go into tasting this thing.
Let's do it.
All right. Wow.
If that's not a golden grams with some cinnamon, if that's not a cinnamon toast crunch or whatever, that's just...
Oh, man. This is, wow.
But you can see why I'm saying now for someone that, like, especially when someone newer into bourbon, or you have some, if you're into bourbon, but then you have some friends that aren't into it as much, introduce them to this, and it's like they got a nice cocktail.
Right.
Now, for that kind of person, I would still put it over an ice cube or something, just to mellow it, chill it, a little bit of water to it.
I got to go get another taste in here. Like, I can't even really explain, like, this. So the reason why this is blowing my mind is because I have tasted bourbon for a long time, and this is kind of blowing my mind because this, to me, in my opinion, just from what I remember, and I wish we could do it side by side. We don't have to do it tonight because it's not the same thing, but this tastes stronger and actually sweeter and more flavorful than I remember even the Penelope Rio being.
Well, that's because the Rio, I believe, is 95-ish proof.
Okay.
This is 110, just a little more umph and flavor.
Yeah.
But just going off memory, color-wise, this is a lot darker.
Okay.
Than the Rio. And the Rio, I don't believe, is age stated, so who knows? It might even be younger.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Younger. Wow, this is super interesting. In addition to the cereal that you're talking about, using these to describe the note, there's actually some nice spice on the back end of this. There's actually, it's some kind of a candy. It's going to come to me, I swear to God. As soon as we turn these microphones off, it's going to come to me. But there's some kind of candy this is reminding me of. It's not a red hot. It's definitely like straight up and down. I feel like it's a tamer version of the flavor that you get in your mouth after eating hot tamales.
Yeah.
That might be the one that I'm getting, but it's, wow, that's really interesting, man.
It is. But see, that's what I'm saying. It kind of tastes like a cocktail.
Oh, it does. And I mean, I can't even imagine what you could do with this in cocktails.
Right. Well, this is a bourbon too. Overall, from the different ones I've tried, I typically prefer ryes.
Okay.
Finished in Amburana.
Okay.
So this might be the first bourbon in Amburana that I actually like.
Well, dang.
Yeah.
So as we're talking and tasting this, because this might be the first time I'm ever going to do this, maybe the second time in the history of the podcast, but usually I pour myself some and I'm content with that pour, and I, sip it during the course of the podcast. Well, I'm not even finished yet. I'm going back for a little bit more.
There we go.
And so while we're doing that, I want to quickly talk a little bit about RD1 because I feel like we got so excited about Amburana and this finish that we didn't even talk about RD1 in terms of what they mean to Lexington, Kentucky. Yeah. So RD1 stands for Registered Distillery 1. They proudly put that on the side of the bottle and on the front of the bottle. And the first federally registered distillery in Lexington, Kentucky was the Ashland Distillery, and that's what RD1 stands for, right? Registered Distillery 1.
Registered Distillery 1, yeah.
And that was in 1865. The distillery was then later purchased by William Tarr, who they named their brand after. When they first came out, right, they had a lot of those brand, we'll talk about that here in a second, about his the namesake, William Tarr. And so
I think they had 3 expressions of that, I believe.
I think so. And most of those were sourced, right? I think those were sourced early ones.
I don't know if you're allowed to say. I mean, they can't say it. But,
oh, no, I don't know where they're sourced
I'm saying they can't, but I'm like 99.9% sure it's sourced from Turkey.
So. Okay. Well, I know that did any of them say where they were sourced from on the back? They didn't. Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, wherever they came from, they put out some really good releases there. But the distillery itself actually went into disarray during Prohibition, like a lot of distilleries, and it closed down. And then it later burnt down. It's actually, where Manchester Music Hall's at? Mm-hmm. That's actually the exact site that the distillery was on. The remnants of it were over there by Manchester Music Hall.
They're just on the street from there now.
They're right there, yep. And so they have their own spot here in Lexington. 2020 is when RD1 started, and they've had quite an impact really quickly with the products they're putting out. And so in addition to the early stuff they released, the WM Tar, they also have 4 other RD1 bottles, right? Mm-hmm. So one is French oak stave finish. They have the regular bourbon. They have this Amburana, and then they have a double oak that's in maple and some other barrels, right? I think that's their other one they have. Those are their 4 core products, right?
And I should have done my research before this, but I think the maple one is the one they just won gold or double gold with a month or so ago in San Francisco or some other event.
No, I think you're right. I think they're making a big splash.
Because when I was at Barry's house for that Father's Day, they were talking about that. It was a gold or double gold that just won.
Nice. So yeah, they got quite the catalog, and they have quite the impact here in Lexington. And
Coach Stoops is part of it.
And Coach Stoops is part of it.
That's
right?
part of the enthusiasm.
Yeah. Do you remember when Coach Stoops would go around and sign all the bottles?
Yeah. Him and Cash Daniel were down at J-Hop one day. So Barry, I got a picture with me, Barry, Coach Stoops, and Cash.
Do you also remember what happened that day?
Ooh, hang on. Let me think. I got a little tipsy.
Yeah.
And I forgot anything else.
So there was a guy who, happens to be me. And so when you went down there, I was a little jealous because I wanted to go down there for that, and I didn't have the opportunity because I was stuck at work or something. So Kenny is texting me and saying, which bottle do you want? Because they were putting a Citrus Bowl bottle out. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and they were signing all the bottles.
Yeah, and they were signing it, and I wanted them to sign a Citrus Bowl bottle, but they didn't have that one due to distribution or something like that.
Distributor messed up.
So they had
them a day late.
1 or 2 different bottles, and one is like a green and blue color, and the other one was like UK colors.
Blue and white,
so I kept texting Kenny. You remember what I kept texting you? I said, get me the tater bottle. Get me the blue and white tater bottle, and get it signed by Stoops. And so do you remember, I think what happened was either that night or the next day you showed up at my house with that bottle, right? Because you were so excited for me to see it.
Yes. I remember now. Yes.
And the most amazing thing, I get the bottle. It's like in a nice J-Hob bag or something like that. I pull it out and look at it. There it proudly says on the front of it, to tater.
Signed by Coach Stoops.
Signed by Stoops. And I just lost it. That was the greatest. It's the greatest thing in the world. I have that in my office. It's prominently displayed. And everybody always asks me, who's Tater? And I'm like, it's me. But what did he say when you were asking him to sign it? Did you say, can you just personalize
I said that was his nickname. I didn't tell him that because you're a bourbon tater.
Stoops probably thinks there's some guy out there nicknamed Tater.
Yep.
And so I do. Oh, that's a great memory. So I do have an early RD1 WM Tar.
Two Tater signed by
Stoops. So
I ain't gonna lie, I have to join you on this. I'm pouring myself more.
You're pouring yourself more.
I'm dead serious.
Gosh, I don't want to ruin the past try and buy here. Before we get into that, I also want to mention one more thing about RD1. So you were talking to, as we sip this deliciousness over here.
Yeah. So
you were talking to Barry, and he has some exciting news here. Or?
Yeah. So I texted him. He said that they are anticipating breaking ground on their new brand destination in Turner Commons in the next week or 2.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if brand destination, I'm assuming more like tours, experience, tastings, but I didn't really want to. I didn't ask him. I don't want to bug him too much.
Yeah.
This evening.
Yeah. That's hey. You have to let him get his beauty sleep to keep growing that awesome beard he has.
Yeah, dude, that beard. They also have. He said they're coming out with 200 milliliter custom bottles.
Interesting.
That looks like the new 750 milliliter bottles, and they'll be out in a 3-pack at the end of this year.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
So when it says custom bottles, I don't know if that is just custom because they're going to customize your name on them, custom because it's going to be special releases. I didn't get into it with them. But yeah, they got a couple new things coming out.
That's exciting because you know what I always hate? I love taking my own bourbon with me when I travel, like my little sample packs.
Yeah.
But if they had, a custom pack of 3 of these Amburanas, they're 200 milliliters each, that would be a great thing for traveling. But
also like stocking stuffers and gifts,
right?
Stuff like that.
Yeah. I think more distilleries need to take advantage of that. I feel like that's a lost art. So that's probably really smart of them to do stuff like that. I'll be on the lookout for that for sure.
Big time.
So real quickly, we're never going to get to pass try and buy. You know why? Because you were just talking about bottles. And we never even mentioned, we missed a whole entire segment about this bottle.
I got too excited because Amburana, and it was exciting. With Amburana, not in Amburana.
Yeah.
So yeah, this bottle,
it's a nice bottle.
It's a great looking bottle.
It kind of looks like a Knob Creek bottle, only fatter.
The new Knob Creek.
The new Knob Creek, only a lot fatter.
Yes, that was my exact description. Was a new Knob Creek, and this one is this is a first for me. What did we talk about a few episodes ago about rye being what color?
Oh, green.
This is green, but it's not rye. It kind of threw me off as well, being green and not being a rye.
Minus, I'm just joking. That's awesome. Keep breaking expand those boundaries, like they always say. That's their brand slogan, right? To keep expanding the boundaries and exploring the frontier.
So he said, though, that the new custom bottles coming out for this fourth quarter at 200 milliliter are going to be smaller versions of that.
That's going to be pretty sweet.
That's going to look freaking dope.
That's going to look great, yeah. So this looks like that. It's got this bottom part that almost looks like a metal rack or could be a barrel on the bottom. I'm not sure what they're going for there, but it's a really nice decorative looking thatch is the best way to put it. And they got a really nice, strong wood topper, and this cork is it's a real cork, real cork on there, which is a nice touch. And it's a pretty fantastic.
It's a very large cork, easy to open or easy to grab and get a hold of.
Yeah. No, the bottle itself is nice too, even though it does weigh. It's very heavy. It's a lot of glass.
Probably that really is. I mean, it's like a nicer version of the new Knob Creek bottles.
Yeah, it is. So even though we were way out of order on that, Kenny, I think it's actually time for us to get to the pass, try, or buy. So would you pass, try, or buy on the RD1 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey finished with Amburana Wood?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely buying. To be honest with you, I was trying to think of I was thinking of a couple scenarios depending on on if I would buy because of this or try because of that. But no, I mean, I would buy. So even if you're a seasoned bourbon guy or if you're new to bourbon, either one, I was just trying to think about how it tastes. It tastes more like a finished cocktail,
right?
But even the true bourbon drinker, it's something that's great to get off the norm per se,
right?
So yeah, I would definitely buy.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I'm usually like thinking about the nuance of what the decision should be and what would I compare it to. But are you kidding me? $65 for this bottle, and it was on the shelf at Liquor Barn. I'm buying it all day. I mean, this is just really good. The thing I do wonder about, though, being that I like my classic bourbon and rye flavors, I wonder about longevity. And what I mean is right now I'm telling you I'll buy it. After this bottle is gone, am I going to feel the same way about it sipping it tonight as I did halfway through it, all the way through it? Yeah. I'm thinking yes, that I will, especially because bourbon drinkers, we want something different, right? We're always looking for something different, something unique, something that's going to excite us. I just don't know if this is going to have the staying power, but I'm definitely a buy tonight.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a thing. You don't know how it's going to change over time.
Yeah.
Because we've all experienced some bottles that get better with age, other bottles they go really flat. So
right.
We'll have to see how this goes.
Or sometimes you just lose your taste for stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I think for the time being, this is some cinnamony goodness.
I think they knocked it out of the park with this one, man.
Yeah, I agree.
And I didn't find out. Is this like I should ask Barry. I mean, is this a one-time release? Is it going to be more on the shelf on a regular basis, or is it going to be? But you know what? Though? If they have staves,
yeah.
Dude, they could probably do tons of batches with that then, I guess.
Oh, I would think so. I mean,
they're not using the whole barrel for one finish.
Right. And I mean, could you imagine?
Now, to get back to, and I don't mean to get off of this, but
no, that's fine.
Amburana is so strong.
Right.
I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. So Amburana, though, is so strong. I mean, it's so easy to overdo a bourbon in Amburana.
Right.
So when I was at Rare Characters' new place here in Lexington where they're aging barrels.
Oh, they have a place in Lexington?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
I was talking to the man. You know the man?
Who's the man?
Chad.
Oh, yeah, Chad.
Chad used to work at the place that you love.
Oh, man. God, I feel bad. I need to find Chad and apologize to him. I may have raged on him one time about his working at Total Wine, which had nothing to do with him. It was more about Total Wine.
Well, but the thing is with Chad, he's a smart guy, and guess where he left?
Total Wine.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
But no,
he said something to me to that effect. He said, this isn't like the stopping point for me. Like, I'm going to go on to bigger and better things. So I'm happy to hear he's out there.
So I was talking to him when we were there at their place, and evidently you'll reuse the Amburana barrels multiple times.
Ooh.
So if you have an Amburana barrel, I mean, you can put multiple. You can refill it several times.
It's good as gold
because it's so strong.
It's like a run flat tire.
Dude, it's
just
so
keep
strong.
on driving.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, hopefully they've got. I mean, I hopefully they keep making this as a regular staple, because that way, $65.
Yeah,
it's not going to be like the Rio, where the Rio was whatever it was at release, $100, but now they're $250, $300 secondary. So hopefully this will be more readily available like that.
If that Rio is $250 secondary, then this bottle should be $250 secondary. Dude, no joke.
I'm there with you, man.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was going to say earlier though.
Yeah.
So the Amburana thing, you said it's relatively new.
Yeah.
And it is. But I think it's used for two main purposes. It is so strong that it can hide bad whiskey.
Okay.
So why do you see so many 2-year to 4-year, 5-year, not ready, not mature bourbons, but they finish them in vanilla, in cherry this, and port this, and they finish them in so much stuff to try to basically cover up the bad out of it.
Yep.
So I think Amburana is bursting on this. There's so much Amburana coming out now, because you'll see people wanting to basically be able to sell a bourbon or a whiskey that they really wouldn't be able to sell much, because it doesn't stand on its own very well, but because of this, it makes it palatable.
I got you.
Or you'll see some stuff like some 8 and 9 year I've seen that's finished in Amburana just to make good juice even that much better and make it a little different. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of used for both purposes.
Well, I think that could be said about a lot of finishing barrels, but I think that this, this
one's good, bro.
This has made me want to go and taste the rest of the RD1 catalog. You know what I mean? Just to taste and see what it tastes like. So, to kind of close this out here, I do have to tell a quick story about how I became interested in this bottle, though, because this is a two-way street, right? We love getting together and sipping on different things and talking about our experiences with them, but the essence of this podcast really shines through when you hear about how I even got excited or came across this bottle. So one of our best listeners out there, Whiskey Man Irv, buddy, from upstate New York, named Evan, he has been a follower of our podcast since day one, and he recently came down to Lexington. I think it was actually in early July, and it was heartbreaking because I wanted to hang out with him. I wanted to see him, I wanted to sip with him, and I was heading on vacation the next day, so there's no way that I could get together.
You go on vacation a lot.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
make a lot of money.
Gets in the way, right?
You just make a lot of money.
Yeah, so Evan actually went over to RD1. That was his first time going to any place in Lexington, right? It was like literally first thing he did when he got, and he enjoyed his experience over there tasting so much that when he got back to New York, he sent me a message and just said, hey, they didn't have this available, or I can't remember what it was. I think he didn't bring the proper carry-on or something along those lines. And so he asked me, can you get a bottle of this and ship it up to New York? And of course I was like, absolutely. Why wouldn't I, But also I just said, what's the deal with this? And he said, it's amazing. It's so amazing. And I enjoyed my time at RD1. So I really just want that bottle and everything. And I said, okay, man, no problem. I got you. And so he has that bottle up there. But of course, that's how I got interested in this one. And so we might not be tasting this on the podcast tonight if it weren't for one of our fans. So we appreciate that a whole lot.
Yeah, well, I hope he appreciates a nice bottle with 3 or 4 ounces missing out of it, too. Or do you get him his own bottle?
He got his own bottle. His own bottle.
I got you.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comments section. Until next time, keep it neat.